If you, as you are right now, were transported into Super Mario 64, do you think you could beat it? Do you think you could rescue Princess Peach in place of Mario? Could you even make it past Bob-omb Battlefield? That's what we're going to take a look at today. Specifically, if you could complete the main objective of Super Mario 64, starting with Bob-omb Battlefield. So why don't we take the average human being and ask, could the average human being beat Super Mario 64? On screen are going to be our stats. This is just a quick Google search I just looked up real quick. Hey, what is an average blank for an average human across the world? Just to put an identity to all these stats, this person will be named Sklomp, and they will be our champion through Super Mario 64. So what are some of the struggles that we're going to face, even just in the hub world, in Princess Peach's castle? Mario is short at 5 feet. We're a bit taller than that, so we have the advantage on him there. However, this man's vertical is insane. I've tried to sort of simulate how a human would behave in Mario 64 by only allowing Mario to short hop. And yes, I know that Mario's short hop is probably a little bit higher than what a human would be able to do, but humans are also generally a little taller than 5 feet. Mario's actually a pretty short little guy. I'm assuming the extra height would sort of make up for, the lack of a couple inches in jump height. As to not devalue Pretzel's video, the inspiration for this entire video series, go watch that video. Trust me, it is worth it. So off the bat, Bob-omb Battlefield is relatively okay. I mean, it's literally a battlefield. There's a war going on, so you're going to want to watch out for that. But overall, the weather's not bad. It's not the pit of a volcano or anything, so you're not going to burn on contact with the painting. But you do need to watch out for a handful of very dangerous things in the area. Starting with the very first star in Super Mario 64, we run into a lot of problems, mostly being that Mario is an absolute unit. This man is incredibly strong. Our carry weight is like 155 or something on the average human. Mario is easily lifting King Bob-omb, which is easily over 1,000 pounds. He's probably, anywhere up to 5,000 pounds, but assuming part of him is hollow, and that's giving a very much so, benefit of the doubt to us. That's at least 1,000 pounds, which is not happening. However, what about the trail up to King Bob-omb? Well, it's actually not too bad. As long as you're careful and avoid most of the enemies. I mean, the Goombas, you could probably kill a Goomba, maybe grab a stick from one of the trees or something and sharpen it, poke that guy right in the eye. They have these eyes on the front, but they do have predator eyes. Yeah, their eyes face forward. Goombas are predators. Goombas eat something, but I don't know what. A large part of the dangers of the mountain can simply be avoided by going up this hill here, which feasibly you would be able to do maybe with a little bit of assistance, roughing up the spot and just trying to climb up, like as you would climb up like the side of a, the side of a cliff or something, kind of get your fingernails in there or something, or maybe get some sticks and stick them into the ground. We're going to be able to use our intelligence in a lot of ways that the video game logic would not allow us to. Whereas Mario can't really do that, but we, big smart humans, are not necessarily tied to that sort of video game logic. I know what you're thinking, Newbornkilik, that's really unfair. And you're right, but we need every little bit we can get because trust me, the odds are still stacked against us. But going back up the mountain, we can simply use the teleport here to teleport us all the way to the top of the mountain. And if that's a bit cheesy for you, there are no obstacles that really get in our way. However, missing an obstacle would probably prove, a pretty bad injury. Now that we found our way to the top of the mountain, we are met with the King Bob-omb. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do too much to him. He is a giant bomb. Even if we could find a way to defeat him, maybe we grow incredible human strength and can lift this behemoth of what I would assume to be some sort of iron or something. Even if we could defeat him, throwing him off the mountain doesn't do anything, so we would have to be pretty close to the blast radius. 1,000-pound bomb? Probably not going to be very good for anything in the area. Now, feasibly, you could talk to one of the pink Bob-ombs, giving them his exact location and telling them just to sort of bombard the area. That's really the only way that I could see defeating him. They probably already tried that. I'm assuming there's just no cannon that really reaches up there that's safe for them to get to, as well as what exactly are the pink Bob-ombs using for ammunition in these cannons anyway? The black Bob-ombs are just like using out of bubbles or something that like kind of hurt. Would it be fatal? I don't know. It's very possible. Just something falling at terminal velocity would probably do a lot of damage to you, so I'm assuming these bubbles, if they did hit you, and they're pretty persistent, would probably cause some very severe damage, especially if they hit you directly on the head, which is not good for a spine or the rest of the organs in the body. I know that technically you can't do too many of the other stars without first doing the King Bob-omb star, but we're gonna go ahead and let that one slide because the odds are already stacked against us enough as it is. Moving on to the foot race with Koopa the Quick. The main problem with this is that our movement speed, which is sustainable, is actually pretty low compared to how large the map is, but I believe it would be possible to beat Koopa the Quick because he takes some really weird paths. He kind of lets you win, if I'm honest. I think you could probably do it, but you'd have to be in pretty good shape. That would definitely be probably your exercise for the week, or if you me, the month. Shout out to my fellow desk jockeys. The only real stipulation that I can think of is you'd likely need to open up the gate near the Bob-omb, the red coin, and the 1-up. This would allow you essentially a massive shortcut and give you just enough advantage to maybe pull the victory. But let's talk about the things in that area. A Bob-omb. This is a 3-foot, essentially, bomb. Yeah, I'm using freedom units because America loves to be different, apparently. But yeah, it's about a 3-foot bomb-ish, 2.5, 3 feet. This thing exploding next to you would be absolutely devastating to your body. I remember once in science class, we made an explosion with some, I don't remember exactly what it was. It was a bucket of some liquid, and we, the teacher tossed like a chunk, like a handful of something into it. And he's like, hey, you're going to want to back up. And he had us a decent distance away, and I still felt it reverberate through my whole body. Now imagine that, but this big. We're talking organ failure, lungs collapsing, shrapnel. And the thing is, you could probably just barely get away if you decided to sprint. We have to consider that Mario's movement speed is very fast. His light jog is probably about our, a little more than our jog, but his sprint is really fast, and he can do it indefinitely. We can only sprint for a handful of seconds without, extreme exhaustion. Next, we have Shoot to the Island in the Sky. This is the first one where I'm like, I genuinely don't know if it would be possible. Shoot to the Island in the Sky is tricky, and the main reason is because we have to shoot ourselves out of a cannon. But Newbornkilik, I hear you say, I just did a quick Google search and I saw that people get shot out of cannons all the time. And you would be right. Those are special human cannons, though, which is a weird sentence to say, but it's true. A lot of these cannons, the earlier ones, were generally made out of large compressed springs, whereas the newer ones are more of a compressed air sort of system. Likely, neither of those systems will be used in Bob-omb Battlefield. However, if we make the logical leap that the Bob-ombs are shooting themselves out of the cannon, they may have some sort of safety measures to make it a bit safer inside the cannon so the bombs don't discharge at that point and the Bob-ombs will discharge at their destination. But still, we are not made of iron or any sort of metal. We are made of flesh and bones, and these things tend to dislike explosions. But let's say that we are able to shoot ourselves out of these cannons. There are enough safety protocols in place that we're able to launch ourselves through the air with no safety net, mind you, and just kind of have to hope that our destination is, not too abrasive to our gentle skin. Because, wow, if you've ever seen stuff like motorcycle crashes where they're not wearing the proper safety gear, it's like the pavement is a cheese grater, and we're the cheese. Now, something like that probably wouldn't kill you, but it would severely injure you, assuming the angles are proper and correct. The more vertical you go, the more of a, what goes up's got to come back down. And if you go more to the side, well, then you have more of that sort of skidding at the end. But with reasonable accommodations and with benefit of the doubt, I could see this star being possible. So we gave ourselves the benefit of the doubt on the last star, shooting to the island in the sky. However, I might not be willing to do that twice. And we would have to do this cannon thing no less than twice to get to the island in the sky and collect the red coins that are there. There's one single red coin on the floating island that is going to raise quite a bit of a problem for us. You see, it is an entirely floating island. We have to find a way down from said island. A fall from that height would likely prove fatal, if not a very severe injury, leaving you probably incapacitated, and that's not exactly the state you want to be in with a bunch of ravenous predator Goombas around. I would say that likely the safest way to get to and from this island would be the cannons, and assuming you could survive this process twice, again, assuming you could survive this process twice, there is a recovery heart nearby. Now, we haven't talked about these yet, and they won't come up too much in the run, but I do think that something that is purely magical like this would restore our health, our vitality, and even our energy. The only other red coin that I see being any sort of a problem would be the one near the chain chomp. I'm pretty much assuming that if this thing hits you, you're probably going to die. If not on the initial hit, then as it swallows you whole, he do be looking like a hungry boy. But we can use that to our advantage. If we were to take down one of the Goombas and make it a sort of offering to the chain chomp, maybe, just maybe, he would be distracted enough to leave us alone long enough to grab that coin and get out of there. We might need a couple Goombas, so we're gonna need a way to, unalive them. A poke to the eye with a stick, probably get the job done. They're not that sturdy, so I don't think a human would have too much of a problem taking a Goomba down. However, I suppose one of the issues with this is that once you eliminate an enemy, they disappear into a coin. So you wouldn't be able to fully unalive it. You would have to injure it and then allow it to be consumed by the chain chomp, which is pretty dark. But we need them coins, Luigi. Capitalism ain't gonna capitalize itself. But with that, we would likely be able to grab the star. Mario Wings to the Sky is completely impossible at this point, and would likely stay that way, but we'll figure out the wing cap when we get there. And now we are faced with potentially the most threatening challenge in the entire level, and that would be behind the chain chomp's gate. Now you might be thinking, well, this simply isn't possible, there's no way we would be able to get in there long enough to smash that pole down, and the bad part is you're right. However, we could use the chain chomp to our advantage. Now, there are a couple ways we could do this. They're all incredibly risky and could very well cost you your life, or at least your 1-ups. I don't know how we're going to handle those. I'm going to assume 1-ups are fine. I mean, they're in the game. They're clearly some sort of magic. So, Mushroom Kingdom healthcare is what all true healthcare systems should strive for. If we can somehow manage to get a Bob-omb over to this chain chomp, he will explode, going completely vertical, and then landing back on his pole. As he lands on his pole, logically this could push it further into the ground. It doesn't in the game, so I don't know if I want to necessarily take this as our out, but it could be a way. Again, those bombs are going to be very, very difficult to work with. I mean, they're probably, at least a couple 100 pounds, assuming they're hollow. The much simpler way to go about it, honestly, would be to either just try to open up the gate, which probably wouldn't work. I don't think we're quite strong enough for that. However, we could feasibly just dig under the gate, or maybe even just dig, enough to loosen up the bars. They just go straight into the ground. There's no kind of, mechanism locking them in place, and the chain chomp can't get you. As long as you don't leave the level, things don't go back to the way that they were, so as long as you don't leave the level, you could feasibly be on this project for a while. You would need to bring some water or something, because there's no water in Bob-omb Battlefield, which could be a bit of a problem. I think this one's actually reasonable, assuming we allow ourselves to logic our way through this, essentially. And something that I didn't think was going to be a problem, the star is way too high. Even if we could find a way to get in there with Mario's short jump, which again is kind of what I'm using to base our character's jump, plus the little bit of extra height that we have, we can't actually get the star, even if we could pull off a really cool wall jump. And then I thought about it, it's like, okay, so why don't we just get a stick, just bat that down? Feasibly, we'd be able to get a branch or something and just get down here and then collect that bad boy. So I think this one's actually very possible. I mean, depending on how literally you want to interpret the game world, these bars are paper thin, so you could probably just... A fun idea, but probably not how that would necessarily work out. And that leaves us with 3 stars that are, with reasonable accommodations, collectible in Bob-omb Battlefield. Let me know how you would get some of these stars in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit that funny hand thing. What's it? Oh yeah, the like button. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. It's helped me out an awful lot. I hope you have yourselves a wonderful day. Thank you to all of my supporters across all of the platforms. I'm Newbornkilik, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.